Welcome to the Big Time Strength Podcast, featuring small school strength coaches making the big time where they're at. Today, our host, Coach Jon Pedersen, interviews a high school strength coach who is creating a big time strength conditioning experience for their student athletes. Today's episode is sponsored by TeamBuildr. TeamBuildr provides strength conditioning software to athletics programs around the country. Whether you write your own programs or want access to over 100 templates, TeamBuildr can make your program more efficient, more accountable, and smarter when it comes to measuring your team's effort in the weight room. Visit their website and start a 14-day free trial at TeamBuildr.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey guys, welcome to the Big Time Strength Podcast. I am excited to bring you this week one of my favorite episodes. I'm a little biased, I'll tell you from the very beginning. It's my dad that's on the show, and I tell you what, this has been such a cool experience for me to have my dad as a strength and conditioning coach. Now being a strength and conditioning coach and be able to talk to him weekly, I would say, where we're talking about strength and conditioning, we're talking about football, basketball, track, how all this stuff carries over. And this is a great look into what he's doing at a small high school, making the big time where he's at. My dad's been coaching for 28 years, has a ton of experience underneath his belt, doing a lot of different things. And he talks about some of the resources that have poured into him and some people that have helped to make him better and to get him where he's at. But he also just talks about what it's like to have longevity in the field and to be able to invest in your student athletes daily and some of the core values that he brings to his student athletes at Central Decatur High School in Leon, Iowa. I really do like the show. I think you guys will get a lot out of it. But before we get to that portion of the show, I'd like to introduce the resource review. Gage started out with it last week. It was an awesome section. He did a little bit of an article review of Brian Mann, one that was just recent on Elite FTS. I thought he did a great job. Does a great summary of the article, kind of adds a little bit of his views to it. And this week I'm going to do a little bit of the same. It's going to be an article that just came out on USA Football. It's Don't Let Your Athlete Skip the Struggle. And this one was such a big deal to me. This is a direct quote from the article, but I think this is such an interesting deal. The strongest kids I've seen are the ones that things that don't come easily. The ones that have to fight for playing time, a spot on the team, or even just to improve are the ones who in the end are the strongest people. Maybe a good thing to share with this is a coach that I currently work with right now. And he's kind of one of my mentors. And I talked to him and his wife too. She's a secretary at the school. And one of the things that they told me was when they raised their kids, they would pray daily that their kids would encounter struggle and that they would be able to overcome that struggle. What a shift, right, in mindset to think, okay, my kid or my student athletes or whoever we're talking about, man, just let them struggle a little bit. Let them overcome some of those things. It gets me so pumped up when I listen to them talk about it. And then I saw this article and I'm like, heck yeah, this is great. So here's a few of the points from the article. Your child needs to learn how to problem solve without your constant help. This is a skill he or she must develop because they need it a lot as adults. You guys understand it. Strength coaches in general, I mean, there is going to be hurdles that we have to overcome. And if we have people that were always problem solving for us, it's going to be a lot harder for us to overcome those hurdles now. The next point that they make is your child needs to learn how to resolve conflict with others. If you keep fixing things for them, they won't have a chance to learn this. So the conflict resolution is going to happen with our student athletes. It happens with our administrators, with fellow teachers, with other coaches. And just being able to manage that conflict is such a big deal. And when we step in for our student athletes or for our kids, and it will hinder them in the long run. And it's so hard to step out of that. And I'm a new dad in this situation. And one of the things that I love seeing is it was when my son Jace, when he learned something right now and he had to struggle for it, and now he can overcome. And it's like, I'm glowing as a dad already, right? And he's only 5 months old. And then the last point that they talk about is your child needs to learn persistence. He or she will need it as a spouse, a parent, an employee, an employer. You do not want to raise a kid who tucks his tail and runs at the first sign of struggle, right? We want to be resilient. We want to be gritty. We want to be able to bring that mental toughness. And I think that's a great call to action for us as coaches, teachers, administrators, parents, just to let our kids struggle and really be proactive for themselves right now, so that in the environment that they're in, this learning environment, they're able to push themselves in a way that doesn't become overbearing or doesn't come too much, but a way that they can find growth. And I just love the concept of this article by Janice Meredith on USA Football. Don't let your athlete skip the struggle. So if you guys have ever encountered that, you have anything like that, if you want to reach out, I love starting this conversation a little bit with coaches. I've already had a couple of people talk about it to me today, and I really want to challenge you in that way. Let your athletes struggle. Let them improvise, adapt, and overcome. So let's get to our show. Welcome Coach Pedersen onto the show and listen to what he's got for us. Coach Pedersen, it's awesome to have you on the show. This is one of the shows that I've looked forward to for a long time, and I want to welcome you on, and then also ask you kind of the opening question here. What are you doing right now? But then also, how did you get to the spot where you're at? And kind of give us a rundown of your background.
Well, I've been teaching and coaching for 28 years, so it can get to be a pretty long background. But I grew up in southern Iowa, in Osceola, Iowa, on a farm. And, went to high school at Clark Community, went to a junior college, played a little basketball, and then finished my graduate up at Iowa State. And from there, I've always been involved in sports. I was a four-sport athlete and enjoyed sports in the junior college level. And then when I got into my teaching, I was an agriculture instructor and FFA advisor as well as coach in football, basketball, track, and baseball, I guess. And from there, I was there went to Wyoming, Iowa first for a year, and then went to Osceola for another 10 years. And then went to Leon after that, and I've been at Central Decatur for the last 18 years, and really enjoy everything that goes along with that. And, I get involved with a little bit of everything here at Central Decatur, which is really fun for me as far as a football program, basketball program, and track program, and then work closely with the athletes that do baseball too. So it's good times.
One of the things that I'll be able to remember for a lifetime is waking up early, very early, for morning speed and agility, all the way back when you were at Osceola, when you're at Clark Community. And then obviously that carried in, and you being my high school strength coach at Central Decatur, along with another guy that was a wrestling coach, just a great dude. But between you two, tag teaming that, and then you've been doing it for a while now since he's retired on your own for a chunk of time. What are some of the things that, when you think about like longevity in coaching, what are some of the things that you kind of hang your hat on? What keeps somebody around coaching, strength and conditioning, all the sports that you do for 28 years?
Well, plain and simple, Preston, that's love of kids. Love to be around, high school, junior high age kids that you're able to help mold them in a certain direction. But more so than that, just the energy and the fun that they have in life. And everybody wants to stay a kid. Everybody wants to be able to do the things they've always been able to do and enjoy. And I've always enjoyed sports. I've always enjoyed the challenge of trying to get somebody to be the best that they can be, which lends itself really well to speed and agility and weightlifting. And it's just a fun thing to be around. And I've been around great people. Right now, you were talking about Dan Christensen when I first came here, and Dan was able to give me a great opportunity in a couple different sports and let me help out with the strength and conditioning here. But right now, I'm around great coaches that love their kids and love being around those kids and love developing those kids. So if you can be around people like that, then it keeps you young. And, I can't see doing anything else. That's what I've always liked, and that's pretty much what I'll do till the end, I suppose.
For whatever reason, I don't know what happened, but there was an impact you had on me, because now I kind of want to do the same thing the rest of my life. And I find it really cool when I hear older strength coaches and coaches in general just talk about, why they've been doing what they're doing. And I just think back of the impact that I had from my high school coaches and obviously you and other awesome ones. And it's really cool for me to think about not just, how we got better at sports, but, like the always the impact that was laid was, how are we getting better for life? And that's really what sparked my joy. And what I get to do now is like, yes, I love to get bigger, faster, stronger. I love when we win games, but more so, man, I love the journey that people have to go on to get to where they're going, right? And just the overlay that sports has for life is nuts. It's great. And one of the foundations was kind of your program's mission statement and core values. Can you give us a rundown of what it was like and what it is like now for your program's mission and what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, first of all, it's so fun to see a kid grow. When you've got the kid that has a bunch of spunk, but maybe not going in the right direction and doesn't make good choices at times, and then they start making choices that impact their lives, and and they can come back and you guys can reminisce about those times, and that's when it's really, really fun. And we've got 4 covenants that we talk about a lot that kind of guide what we do at Central Decatur, and really has kind of guided me throughout my life and what my parents kind of instilled into me. And number 1 is never put individual before team. I mean, that's the crux of everything. If you're worried about yourself instead of worried about your teammate, then we're not going to be as successful as we can be. Respect team members and team unity above all else is our second one. Understand that your actions or lack of actions will always affect the team. And then the last one is don't dwell on the past and focus on the future. And they're all important and they all have their place. But I think that last one is really huge because when you're dealing with a teenager, I'm 51 years old and I make mistakes every single day. And if you think that you're going to deal with young men and women that aren't going to make mistakes at that age, then you're in the wrong profession because they're going to make mistakes. And it's not about that. It's about, do they grow? Do they make the same mistake over and over again, or are they getting better? And that's the really fun part of it. That's the fun that keeps you coming back every day, I guess.
Those are things that have really molded me, those core values and kind of go into my program now and the way that you implement those are pretty cool. Kind of give me a way that you implement those core values within your culture, like within the weight room, within your sports teams that you get to coach. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Well,
I think first of all, to answer that, you need to kind of understand where our school and where our community is a little bit. We're a Southern Iowa rural community that has great people. We have tremendous people, but we're not blessed with a lot of resources. And a lot of our kids come from that background of not having a tremendous amount of resources. And, that can be tough at times, or you can take that and use that as a way to, make yourself better. And that's how we look at it. You may not have the greatest things in the world, but how you treat people, how you look people in the eye when you talk to them, how you work. Are you willing to come to work and be a grinder every day and do what's needed to help your teammate get better? And, there's no magic pill. I can go out there and tell you the saying that we say or whatever it is, the cardinal way that we talk about, but really it's about being consistent. It's about doing the same thing every day and knowing what that involves as both a teacher and as a student. They know the reaction that they're going to get from our coaching staff right now. And I've been in situations in the past where maybe not all the coaches were on the same page, but it's really a blessing that a lot of our guys that control kind of the ins and outs of our sporting programs are all on the same page. They all have the same values. And when you can get in that situation, it's a great situation to be in. and just live every day that way. Don't cut corners. Don't, we have one saying, around Central Decatur that not everybody's the same, so they're not going to be treated the same. And it's about individuals. It's about knowing what's the strength of that individual, what's that individual need, and being consistent with that. And when you're able to do that, then great things will come from it.
That's a really interesting thought right there at the last little bit. And that's something that I've been able to witness from you is you cannot coach everybody the same. And I'm reading a book currently and just learning about different archetypes of people and how they function. And that's something that I truly have learned from you of being able to see how somebody responds to coaching and then being able to play to that. What are some of the things that you look for and the coaches at Central Decatur look for when they're coaching up their athletes? And I know that's a little bit of a leading question, but I just know that there is so much to that. Not treating everybody the same, but truly treating everybody still fairly. What's that look like?
Well, it comes down to a respect factor, and that respect factor are simple things like eye contact, like body language, like being in the present, being when you're getting coached or when you're coaching somebody, look them in the eye and be there with them. It's one thing to say, yeah, and kind of go through it, or to not treat people in a respectful manner and say something, but not really do it or show it. And we're big on that. We're big on trying to get everybody to understand how important that is. And it even goes so far. We talk about our sporting programs. We talk about our weightlifting programs, all that kind of stuff. But really, our school does a great job of that. Our FFA does a great job of that, of going out within the community and saying please and thank you and different things like that. And our student council goes about it. That's the really cool part of being in a small school is that, you get to make impact on pretty much the same kids every single day. And that can be really fun. And I'm sure it's maybe frustrating for the kids at times because they have some of the same dudes every day. But I also think that they like that consistency. And if you have, if you go about it and you have expectations for them, kids thrive on that. They still want expectations. They still want to be around people who are going to hold them to a high level of excellence. And then when they achieve, it's really fun. It's really fun for them to see that and know that they've grown as a person.
I agree with you so much right there. That last little bit it speaks to exactly how I tried to start out when I went to Mount Vernon High School is just kind of, I don't know. It's the idea of holding somebody accountable to that excellence that you were talking about, and doing it consistently. And then kids get to the point where they are thriving. They want more of that because what they see is they see results, but they also see that, other people are being great teammates to them and coaches are pulling them up. And then they start to see everybody moving in the same direction. And kind of like you talked about, you've got, program after program and teacher after teacher and administrators all getting behind that culture. I mean, that's a pretty cool deal. There are every job, even when you have a culture that's moving in that direction, there's hurdles. There's stuff that just comes up and it's a challenge. What's a hurdle that you've had or a challenge that you've had, and maybe one way that you've overcome it?
It kind of goes right back. It's really some of the strengths that I just said. When you have a smaller student body and you have an active school, probably one of the biggest things we have is there's only so many kids to go around, and they're involved in so many activities. And so just fighting for that time with the kids to, be involved in all those activities, but yet get something out of each one of them. And, so we're always trying to manage that. That's not always an easy thing. We've really, it's very tough when you tell a kid to come in to weightlifting 6 o'clock in the morning. They go to school. After school, they have practices and they have FFA until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and then or some other school related, school play or something to that effect. and then make sure you get your sleep, make sure you eat right, make sure you do all those things. Well, my goodness, that's awfully difficult for a person to be able to do that and all things. So we've really tried to manage the time for our kids, and that's probably where we feel like we've made the biggest jump in our weightlifting program is that time management. We've taken away, although we still offer morning weightlifting for some kids who really, really enjoy that, we're now able to get it into the school day, and every kid that's interested in weightlifting is able to find a time for that. And, that's really freed them up. It's freed up the amount of time that they have to be. They're still getting the time to get better, but they don't have to be there, for another hour or hour and 20 minutes of the day. It's just something else that they can do someplace else.
And what an awesome transition, right? Like I remember in high school, it was always a struggle to try to get all my teammates in for morning lifting and to be consistent with it. And now you're to the point where you're having every athlete at Central Decatur showing up to work out every single week. They're getting their 3 lifts that you require every single week. That's a huge commitment from the student body, and I love that because I've seen it pay off at Mount Vernon and multiple coaches that I've had on here. It's awesome to see somebody that has the challenge of having people that are so involved, that are doing so many things, still be able to find time to get better, to do the things that they're doing. Can you just speak to how you're implementing that within your school day, knowing that you're at a small school, but you're still getting that big time strength and conditioning done during the day?
You bet. And like you said, that's been such a huge thing because now we're able to motivate our kids when they want to. We've always had kids that have worked their tail off during the season, worked their tail off when they're at the weightlifting time. But, we've always kind of struggled at times being able to get everybody there. And we, as a coaching staff and as a school, sat down and realized that was something that needed to change. We're a TAP school, or we have been a TAP school in the past, and one of the things that they developed was a cluster time that all the teachers had to have like an hour in service each day within the week, I should say. And when they did that, they built a schedule where we have an hour seminar for kids that the seminar time can be, it might be an art thing, or it's just kind of a game thing or fun thing that they can do. But within that, we also offer weightlifting. And what we've got during that time, since they are there for that hour, they're getting their credit for PE, which really opens up even more classes for them, because now they don't have to have the PE class during the regular school day. They actually get the weightlifting PE class at seminar time. So that's a big benefit to them. What we were able to do that worked really well for our 9th through 11th graders last year. And then this year we realized that we were missing some of our seniors, so we were able to get those involved in a first hour class also. So we've got 3 times where our kids can lift. They can either still come in before school. They can lift first hour, which is mainly seniors, and then they have the seminar time. And every athlete that, if you're going to be out for a sport, you're going to be in that weightlifting class, and it's been a godsend for us. Now, we don't have to worry about whether they're there. They're there. And like I said before, our kids work their tail off when they're there. They're very on board with that, and we're very happy how it's going.
That's an awesome situation. And one of the things that, as you talk about the different times that you have available to your athletes, you've also got yourself, obviously, teaching and coaching in there for that class. And then you also have like 2 or 3 other coaches that are coming in, from my understanding. Mm-hmm. And then you also have 2 or 3 athletes that they like it so much that they intern at a separate time for you. So either that first hour or during the seminar time, you've got kids coming in after they've already lifted in the morning to help out with that class. Tell me just a little bit about how you utilize some of that help and how you got some of that started to get a few interns that had that interest, and kind of how you use them now.
Well, it kind of comes back to, Preston, what we talked about. I think every small school goes through where there's always those guys who love to lift. There's always in our school, there was always a core of 7 to 8 guys that you knew no matter what was going on in their lives, they were going to be there. They were going to make that commitment to be there. And it was a goal as a coaching, whether it was head football or head basketball or whatever it was to get more guys there. Well, what we were able to do is we still have those kids who have that same love, who just love to do that, maybe the little bit extra. And they've made the commitment to do their lifting in the morning. And then when it comes to seminar time, they still have to be at a seminar. They still have to do something. And they've chose to be a part of our weightlifting and help us out. Whether it's instructing as far as giving tips and different things to some of our younger athletes, which we pair them up with them and they work through that, or just general cleanup and work throughout the day, just to make sure throughout the hour to make sure things are rolling the way we want, and everybody's got everything that they need. And they do a great job of getting active. I don't have to say a lot to them. I just kind of tell them what's going on that day, and they get after it. So it's pretty easy when you got great kids. When great kids love to be there and they want to be there, and they want other people to be excited about it, then it's really fun for them to be a part of it and kind of just be leaders for the rest of them on how to go about their business the right way.
Awesome stuff. And like I said a little bit earlier before, you've got some coaches that are investing in those athletes also. Maybe tell us a little bit about what they're doing, kind of their role within this thing, and maybe talk about a little bit about Coach Stoner taking on the junior high and really pushing that program forward.
Well, it's Coach Stoner and Coach Smith both have done a great job of seeing the importance of the development of everything. I think you kind of have to go all the way back to clear back in, I think, 2004 is when we started our speed and agility program at Central Decatur in the springtime. And, it'd be something that we'd meet after school with, and we'd have kids all the way from 4th grade through 12th grade. And you could see the development that was going on in those younger kids, how much they just ate it up and wanted to be around it and made such huge gains just because, it was organized and it was getting them going in the right direction. And we look at that and over the years, we're like, okay, how can we make this better throughout the whole year? Instead of just having it in the springtime, we need to have something like this all the time. And one of the things that our school has went to is our junior high kids have 5 days of PE, and part of that is to give them a little bit of release throughout the day to be able to be active, and also hit requirements and things that the state has. And within those 5 days, Coach Stoner and Coach Smith have really done a nice job of implementing weightlifting 2 days a week within that. And then they'll go ahead and do different activities and things that they do throughout the PE class. But they got 2 workout days, and those workout days have really gave our kids a head start on just understanding the basics of weightlifting, understanding some of the movements that we want them to perfect. And so when, they get into high school, we don't have to spend a lot of time with that. We're able to hit the ground running and get right into our programs and continue to get better at it. Obviously, they're not perfect. We're never perfect all the way through, but we're always striving to be. And both those guys have done a great job of that. And then Coach Smith is also our high school guy. Coach Stoner goes on and implements a lot of cool things down the elementary. And then Coach Smith also helps me during the seminar and the first hour of just making sure, doing the same thing I'm doing, making sure the program is implemented the correct way and the kids are on task. And it's just worked out extremely well for us. And we're able to pick up another guy this year that's a wrestling coach and a lover of lifting and conditioning, a lifetime of Mr. Raymaker. And so we've got three guys up there for about, our seminar most of the time is going to be between 48 and 54 kids. And, that's just fun time for us.
That's awesome. And you talked about, a few coaches there that are committed to learning, right? And I got to have some really great conversations is at the Mid-America NHS SCA. And that kind of got us down the path of what's it look like for our junior high program. And I say our because I still love to just talk about Central Decatur, where I grew up and where my dad is investing. And one of the things that Coach Stoner wanted to get rolling was a 1x20 program. So they've been rocking and rolling with that. And then the high school, it's still kind of like a modified tier type of system, Joe Kinn's type of system. And both of those have just like, I've been able to talk to Coach Stoner over and over, and he's talking about like the amount of growth that they're seeing with the 1x20, but the movement efficiency that they're having so that they can flow in to high school with that movement efficiency. And I think that's going to be a really cool deal to see in the years to come. You mentioned about the speed and agility program and how you're able to implement that throughout the whole year now. And I just remember back when it was 4th through 12th grade, right? And you just have this huge amount of people that they're coming into the gym after school to get all this work done. And now it's happening throughout the day. Can you give us a little bit of a breakdown of what you're looking for within the speed agility program, kind of how you set that up, how you're training your athletes, and kind of your philosophy behind it?
Well, I tell you what, when we first were doing it, Matt McGettigan was a big deal for us getting it started from Iowa State and football program at that point. And we're still, we've changed over the years and now deceleration and acceleration and change of direction and, not having it set pattern and all that kind of stuff. But we love that stuff. We love how that's changed over the years. But really what it comes down to is just giving that kid an opportunity to get better, and whether it is, the jump and plyo type stuff that we do, or the band, the 1-2 sticks and things that we're working on as far as agility is concerned, that's all important. And I let people a lot smarter than me program some of that stuff. Mainly, I guess that'd be you, right?
Yeah, for parts of it. But I mean, you've had Joe come in and help you out with that too. And like what you said with the Matt McGettigan a little bit, that's right. A cool situation. I just remember how much that was a sweet deal.
I've been coaching for 28 years. So one thing you learn in coaching is you beg, borrow, and steal everything. And that's what we do. But more so than that, it's got to make sense. It's got to, we don't want necessarily this a big, huge, strong guy. We want the dude that can move. We want the girl that can rip down a rebound and have a great outlet pass and not be mechanical doing it. So that's what we're gravitating for, is just movement. We went to a conference a month or two ago and they were talking about the warm-ups and stuff that they were doing. And, you just look at something and you're like, oh my goodness, that makes sense. As a coach, you're like, holy Toledo, why haven't we been doing more stuff like that? Well, why were we in a box? And we try to get as many ideas as we can from as many people as we can and try not to be in that box, try to new things that are going on and within the plyo program or within, just how we set up our kids, how we put them through the work that day and the groupings that we do. And all that stuff is really, really fun to me. And I guess part of that's the track coach in me, because, you're going to have to put it all together, and things like that are really fun.
I tell you what, that is such an earth-shattering deal for me as far as being able to see some of the warm-ups that people are doing and kind of the transition of what agility is defined as, and more so, how can we train our athletes in that way? How can we get our athletes to kind of be problem solvers rather than pattern set, change of direction deals? And I think there's still a time and place for that change of direction. But tell me a little bit about what you're implementing as far as agility now, and what's that look like?
Where we're able right now, and with the 3-day lift, and we got so many in-season athletes, what we're really doing, our agility work is our warm-up. Our agility work is going to be mimicking somebody in front of you. It's going to we still will do a speed and agility every once in a while just to, because like you said, it's still a change of direction. It's still something that benefits them, but more so, we've gotten way more into the reacting or mimicking somebody else as they're reacting and trying to solve a problem, which I loved how that was brought up, that every sport is really just a problem that you try to solve and do the best that you can with that. And it's fun to see our kids, when they first started this, we really just implemented it this, midway through this year. And when we first started this, how they were just kind of awkward and how they're becoming more and more fluid about moving against somebody else as opposed to a set pattern that they're going to do. And then that stuff is huge when you get into games, because ultimately, speed and agility for us is life changing, and hopefully there's something they're going to do their whole life. But indirectly, for a 4-year or 6-year period, it's going to be, how does it help that sport? How do they get better? And I think we're already seeing that. Our boys program is doing a great job with it. Our girls program is going lights out with it right now. We got girls doing stuff that they never thought they could do before, and it's showing on the court in basketball and volleyball and track. They're just kind of exploding right now. So it's fun to see. It's fun to see excitement from the kids.
That's such a cool deal. I get to talk to you a decent amount about this stuff, and one of the things that I like to do is I like to ask you about your vision for the future, and what's that look like? If 1 to 5 years down the line, what does the Central Decatur, cardinal strength and speed agility and all that type of stuff put together? What's your vision for that program?
Well, ultimately, I think we're heading in a good spot where we're getting so many kids involved. But ultimately, I'd like to be, my voice gets smaller and smaller. Instead of, we still have to have those times where I've got to be the coach, where I've got to motivate, but if we can get to the point where the kids are motivated and the kids even more, and my voice becomes smaller and smaller within that program, I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's what I envision happening. I think that since we're starting with them younger and younger, and the kids are really buying in and seeing an improvement with that they'll start setting the standard. They'll start setting what that standard looks like and what they want it to be. And then, as coaches, we get to just fine tune it every once in a while. And that's when it's exciting. That's when you know that you've got everything going in the right direction. And hopefully that just keeps progressing from, you say 5 years, I hope 5, 10, whatever that is, that it just keeps getting better and better, and more ownership from the kids. And if the kids have the ownership, then their parents are going to have the ownership, and then the community's going to have the ownership. And then all of a sudden that's what you're known for. And that's hopefully where we can get to.
That sounds like a whole lot of leadership development to me. And I think that's awesome. Preparing our youth to be leaders in the world after sports, and to be able to see your progression, from here where people are buying in so much to the point where your voice gets smaller. I mean, that's what we can hope for as a coach, right? Where we don't have to motivate, right? We don't have to do those things because it is so inherent within the program. That's awesome. And I think there's always going to be that time and the place where like you said, we're going to have to step up and do those things, but more so it's kind of being that rudder, right? And righting the ship, making sure that things are going in the right path, and giving the people, keeping the students the power to be able to influence and motivate and lead. So very, very awesome in that way.
It's the ultimate goal, whether you're a teacher, or whether you're a coach, or whether you're a business person. If you can get the people that you're leading to be the leaders, and then great things are going to come. And when great things come, they just snowball. And that's when you just enjoy what you're doing and go about your business every day.
All right, so we're coming up to the end here. We have 5 quick questions that I'll throw out here. You'll spit out some answers. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite office snack?
I'm old school. I got to go Snickers. I mean, I'm kind of like those commercials. I start turning into somebody different until I get a good Snickers in me, and then I can dig back to Coach Pedersen. So that's where I go.
Awesome. Must be where I get it. I don't know. All right. Favorite book. What's your favorite book?
John Gordon's Energy Bus. He's got a lot of other great books out there, but that's the one that got me going in a lot and just kind of opened my mind on some different things that I think it puts it in a level that people can understand, especially students can understand. We've read that book to students. The students have read it out to us, and it's we're doing little activities with actually pulling the school bus and different things like that just kind of drives home the point of doing the right things.
I think maybe the simplicity and the level of I don't know, just being able to like a call to action almost is what really sets that book apart. Very awesome.
Yeah, it's direct and to the point, and that's the best type of coaching you can have. So that's why I like it.
Good. Person that's influenced you the most?
Well, I don't know if I can say one person. I think whenever the people that have influenced me the most is my family. And when you talk about that, you have to talk about my mom and dad first. And when I say the person, you can't say one without saying the other. And they've just shown me how to go about living life, how you treat people, how you work every day, how you go about your business. And, and then that's rolled right into the rest of my family. I can't be around them enough because they're fun. They have fun, they work hard, they play hard, they vacation hard, and those things are really important. And, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about weightlifting, doesn't matter whether you're talking about football, basketball, track, they all have the same recipe. And my parents have definitely installed that in me. And then obviously weightlifting wise, you're a big influence on how, we may have got you started on some things, but you've definitely expanded our view of where things are at and what they need to be at. And Joe Quinlan has been a big part of that for you, and obviously for us also. And then Quinn back in the day, like I said before, Matt McGettigan was a big influence on how we go about things.
Great people, awesome dudes. And
that's a lot of one people, right?
Right. Well, I could just echo the family one, man. It's awesome to hear that that grandma and grandpa they're always there and so willing to love and give and treat people the way that they need to be treated. And I can see where you're coming from with it. So that's a pretty cool thing on my end. Your favorite quote?
Well, I think the one that we talk the most about is, if you do the right thing, great things will come. And, I think that's such a great thing, because the right thing is not always the easy thing. But if you continually can buy into doing the right thing, then great things will come from that. And it may not be quick, but it will eventually happen. And, there's a lot of different ways that's said now, like be true to the process or whatever it is. They're all saying the same thing. Do the right things and great things will come.
I think that's something to implement right now. Everybody, right? That's a great way to look at it. Is the right thing is not always the easy thing, but man, if you stick with that right thing, good things are going to happen. That's really cool to me.
Well, that happens in everything we do. You're talking about your faith. You're talking about your school. You're talking about your work, and I mean that's just simple. Simple is the easiest way to go.
Simplicity has some truly powerful meaning behind it. Yeah, I love that. That's great. All right, last little bit. A small school coach who's killing it and deserves a shout out.
One of our biggest competitors down here is Mountaineer Schools, and I think Derek Lambert is doing a great job of leading that program for many years, and the kids are always well developed. They treat people the right way. It's always a good rivalry, and so I would say Derek has done a great job.
Awesome. I'm going to have to reach out to Derek at some point. He's a good dude. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for taking the time to do this. To be really honest to all the listeners, Dad came on. He had a basketball game tonight, and he's on afterwards, ready to roll. So he is dedicated to helping people out, and I really do appreciate that. What's the best way for people to reach out and ask you more questions about how you've implemented maybe some of the things that you're doing at CD?
Email always works well. Jon.Pedersen at centertheater.org. As far as Twitter's concerned, I'm on. I should. That's probably something I should do a little bit more of as far as promoting some of the things we do. But I definitely look at it quite a bit and would respond to you if anybody ever wants to talk. But that's Jon Pedersen 12. And as far as a phone is concerned, the school phone is 641-446-4816. I'm more than willing to talk to anybody that wants to talk about what our program's doing or what their program's doing, how we all fit together, because it's really, really important, that communication sort of things. And I love talking about anything from weightlifting to speed agility to football to basketball track. I'm a jack of all trades, so I love to talk about all of it.
Coach Pedersen, I appreciate your time so much. This is definitely going to be one of my favorite shows, and I don't know if I'm a little biased with that, but thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing how you're making the big time where you're at, and thank you for being part of the Big Time Strength podcast.
Well, I appreciate it, and you guys are doing a great job. Keep it up.